What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my Friday Night SmackDown audio review here today for May 12, 2023. I am Graham G.S. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great weekend so far. This was our first edition of the Blue brand since the draft went into effect this past Monday on Raw. The first post-draft Raw was not good. It was an overall very boring show. Not a bad show. Highlighted by the tournament matches, Rollins versus Balor in the main event, the two triple threat matches earlier in the evening. Other than that, though, not a very eventful edition of Raw, and not a very interesting or exciting edition of Raw on Monday. SmackDown, honestly, I don't know if it was the 2-hour effect, probably just a more concise 2 hours, a much stronger show on Friday night. I really liked this show. I thought both triple threat matches were great. Specifically, the first one I thought was the best triple threat we saw all week in WWE. Of the 4 triple threat matches we got, that first one on Raw was really good with Rollins, Nakamura, and Priest. I think Styles, Edge, and Mysterio, I had high hopes for it, and it met those lofty expectations. Now, the match would have been better 20 years ago when all three guys were at their the peak of their career, the prime in their career. But it was still quite great last night as well. Great counters. Some unfortunate, awkward moments and botches and whatever. Not many, including the finish, unfortunately. But an overall excellent opener. The other triple threat was good. The debuts of Cameron Grimes in the ring, pretty deadly. Backstage, they're going to be in the ring next week, taking on the Brawling Brutes. Grayson Waller making his SmackDown debut on screen. He's going to be hosting the Grayson Waller Effect with the SmackDown representative in the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament Final at Crown Jewel. More on that later. And we had a WWE Women's Tag Team title match on the show. We had another return in the championship celebration for Bianca Belair. A really good show, honestly, literally almost no filler. Some of the segments were quick because they wanted to give more time to the tournament stuff, which was fine. So like Grimes and Corbin was very quick. The Belair celebration was very quick. And we also had the return, how could I forget, of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns back on WWE TV for the first time since the night after WrestleMania on Raw. And he went on a month-long vacation. We have not seen the undisputed WWE Universal Champion since then. And not only that, we found out what he's going to be doing in Night of Champions, and it's not exactly what we expected. More, all of that and much more here in my SmackDown audio review for May 12th, 2023. An overall great show, like I said. Let's start at the beginning here and work our way through the episode, starting with the aforementioned first triple threat match of the night. AJ Styles, Edge, and Rey Mysterio battling for an opportunity to compete later in the night in the main event, with the winner of that match again facing Rollins at Crown Jewel for the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship. This was an excellent match. Before the break, I thought it was a really good match. They picked up the pace and had an even better match coming out of the commercial break. And the finish, if it was executed better, would have been just picture perfect. Rey Mysterio hitting the 619. Some really good transitions here as well, and counters and whatnot, like I said earlier. Edge was going to spear Rey in midair coming off the 619. I don't know what happened with Edge. I don't know if he forgot. I mean, the guy's been doing this for almost 30 years. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if Rey went too quick. It seemed like it was on Edge because Rey was ready to do the spot. And Edge was just sitting there. I don't know if he didn't see him or what the fuck happened. But he was supposed to spear him. Rey did his move and kind of just went into Edge and sold it anyway. It looked weird. And then AJ hit the phenomenal forearm on Edge and pinned Edge to win the match. Now, honestly, coming off the video that Edge posted on Twitter and on social media on Thursday, and the fact that he was the only person to get a televised entrance. And he wasn't facing two job guys. I mean, WWE very rarely will not give someone the notoriety of or fucking AJ Styles or Rey Mysterio not an entrance. I guess they broadcast it on social media beforehand. That's what AEW, I don't know if they still do that. They did do that for a very long time with Rampage. They would put the entrances for the first match on the show on their social media pages, which is kind of cool, but I mean, preferably, I would like to see entrances. That's just my preference as opposed to two people just being in the ring. All right, go, fight, whatever. I'm all for starting the show with a great match, but I like the entrances personally. But anyway, so I thought between those two factors, Edge was winning. I mean, Edge said in that video on Thursday, I haven't watched the full 2-minute video, I only caught like the 17-second clip, where he said that it would be only fitting if he won the World Heavyweight Championship again, the same championship he retired with in 2011, and retired again. Now, I don't know if he meant like he would win it and then retire as champion for a second time. That kind of feels like a waste to me. Or hold it and then lose and leave. I don't know exactly what he was thinking. But that did not happen. I honestly thought not only would Edge win here, but he would win the whole night and then go on to Crown Jewel. But instead, it was AJ Styles who won this match. And I was very happy to see that. I would have been happy with any of these three guys. Ray was kind of the odd man out. I thought he was in there to take the loss. He didn't even take the loss. Like I said, it was Edge. And if the idea was, and they may have referenced this on commentary, I don't think they did. I didn't see anyone say this. I wasn't watching the show live, so maybe I missed it. I actually really like the fact that AJ pinned Edge for a couple different reasons. For one, I don't think Edge has been pinned in a very long time. Edge has won almost every fucking match he has had since coming back to WWE. Not every match, but he won a good 5 or 6 matches in a row there for a while. He won his last match at WrestleMania, the Hell in a Cell match with Balor. He was in the Rumble and lost that too, obviously. I think was he in the Rumble? Yeah, he was an entrant in the Rumble. He lost that, obviously. But he won an Elimination Chamber. He was at Extreme Rules against Balor, and he lost that, but it was an I Quit match. So he didn't get pinned. So he faced Dominic on Raw. That was a DQ win, I believe, for him. He faced Damian Priest on Raw. I think that was a pinfall win for him. So he won that match. I'm trying to think what else he was involved in. He was at SummerSlam. He returned at SummerSlam, but he didn't win at SummerSlam. Or he didn't wrestle at SummerSlam. He was at Clash in the tag team match, him and Ray against Judgment Day. He won that match. And then before he turned babyface, he was a heel. He beat AJ at WrestleMania. He beat AJ at WrestleMania Backlash. He won the 6-minute Hell in a Cell. So he's won a lot of matches. He beat The Miz at Day 1. He beat The Miz at the Royal Rumble, the mixed tag team match. Before that, the match with Rollins. He beat Rollins at Crown Jewel 2021. I think, did he pin him? I don't remember. They had a match. Him and Rollins had a match at the MSG SmackDown in September of 2021. I was at that show. It was an excellent match. I don't know if Rollins won by pinfall. I'm pretty sure he did. But part of me thinks, I know he got stretchered out. Did he win by referee stoppage? If he did, it may have been, the last time he got pinned may have been against Roman at Money in the Bank. It was either the Money in the Bank Roman match 2 years ago in July of 2021 or the Rollins match on SmackDown. Either way, it's been a very fucking long time. Like I said earlier, he lost to Balor at Extreme Rules, but I don't think it was a pinfall one because it was an I Quit match. So he hasn't been pinned in a long time. So long story short, I actually really like the idea to have AJ pin Edge. If the idea was, for whatever fucking reason, they never had him beat Edge last year. Now, Edge won at WrestleMania. Okay, keeps the feud alive, perfectly fine with that. Damian Priest cost AJ the win, makes sense. They had him lose again to Edge at Backlash, like I said, or WrestleMania Backlash, as it was called last year. Okay, fine, Rhea Ripley got involved, interfered, blah, 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 okay, whatever. And then they lose again. He lost, I think maybe with Edge pinning AJ, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it wasn't that guy, I don't know, I don't remember, but AJ lost again at Hell in a Cell. Now, he did end up beating the Judgment Day one fucking time at Survivor Series when he got one over Balor in that very good match they had on that show. Other than that, AJ got his ass kicked by the Judgment Day almost the entirety of the year, and he never won, specifically never got one over Edge until now. So I actually really like that finish, aside from the unfortunate botch from Edge and the spear and whatever on Ray. Overall, I honestly, this might have been one of my favorite TV matches in quite some time. This was amazing, fantastic stuff, I thought. The other triple threat wasn't as strong, but still a very good match. Bobby Lashley winning this match, beating Austin Theory, pinning Austin Theory. Again, kind of an odd finish. This one I was not a fan of. Maybe the idea here was the same logic you can apply to the opener, and that Theory has gotten the better of Bobby on so many occasions. This was Bobby finally getting his revenge, because remember, Theory retained his U.S. Championship also in a triple threat at Backlash against Bobby as well. You replaced Sheamus with Bronson Reed, and it was the exact same match as Saturday. That is. So maybe the idea was Bobby has been chasing Theory for a while. He didn't beat him at Raw 30. He finally got his revenge here. I don't like that one, because unlike with AJ and Edge, Bobby has beaten Theory before. He beat him twice last year. He beat him to win the United States Championship in a really good match at Money in the Bank. And they had a quick, basically squash, like a 4 or 5 minute match at SummerSlam, and Bobby won that too. So Theory has not been pinned in a good 6 months or so. He's been protected. He feels a lot less over now and a lot less relevant than he was even a couple of months ago. But, he's still been protected. So I did not, if you have Sheamus in there and Sheamus ain't doing anything notable anytime soon, I don't like the idea that you had to have Theory get pinned. I thought that was kind of dumb. Unless you do Bobby and Theory coming out of this, because spoiler alert, Bobby did not punch his ticket to Crown Jewel, obviously, to face Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. maybe this is their way of rekindling that rivalry between Lashley and Theory. I fucking hope not. Been there, done that so many times. They had matches, again, at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. They were involved in a triple threat for the championship at Survivor Series. They had a match at Raw 30. They had a match on Raw a couple of weeks ago. They had a match at Backlash. Let's move the fuck on from this, please. I'm so tired of the Lashley and Theory feud. I know they're on the same brand now. There's no reason to rekindle that rivalry. So I really hope that was not why this happened. Good match otherwise, though. I enjoyed it, and Lashley won by pinning, again, Austin Theory. We had the in-ring debut of Cameron Grimes on SmackDown against the free agent Baron Corbin. Corbin spoke beforehand about what I don't remember. The bell rings. Grimes won immediately, hit his finisher, and pinned Corbin within probably 5 or 6 seconds. This was exactly what it needed to be. Now, I would not be opposed to a full-fledged feud between the two. It then begs the question, why the fuck would Corbin even be a free agent? I mean, it makes sense why he'd be a free agent because he's been a bum all year. He hasn't won in forever. But if he's going to be on the show feuding with someone, then why would he not just be signed to SmackDown? Maybe he will be. I don't know. I wouldn't have Corbin beat Grimes. If they do a rematch next week or sometime soon, then I would have Grimes beat him again in a longer match this time. But either way, to get Grimes over, you need more wins like this. Now, the match did not showcase what he could do, but it doesn't fucking matter. People know Baron Corbin. They don't give a shit about Baron Corbin. I get that. But at least Grimes is beating someone of relevance, of some relevance on the roster, not some local athlete. And at least he won. There's a lot of NXT debuts that were like they don't win or they don't come off as impressive. This was as impressive as could be. This was the perfect debut for Cameron Grimes. I really like what they did here. If they continue the feud, that's fine with me. I actually thought they might have them link up or feud earlier this year when JBL dumped Baron Corbin because Grimes also comes from like wealth and whatever in NXT. They weren't really doing that by the end of his NXT run, and they didn't really mention that here on SmackDown, so they're probably moving away from that. I mean, his theme song is still stacking money. So, I mean, I love the theme song. I hope they don't change it. But either way, this was exactly what it needed to be, and I hope they can continue to build up Grimes and get him over. Because I think as a babyface, he can really get over on the SmackDown roster, in my opinion. We then had the return of Roman Reigns, for the first time, like I mentioned, since the Raw after WrestleMania, addressing the losses of the Bloodline. I mean, specifically the Usos, because Solo won the 6-man tag team match for his team at Backlash on Saturday of last weekend. So we mentioned how the Bloodline, I mean, WrestleMania has not been 2 nights for a long time, but it's still impressive. He mentioned that they have now headlined both nights of WrestleMania in the same weekend, except the Usos lost. And he kind of went off on them for not bringing the tag team titles home at WrestleMania. He didn't bring the tag team titles home again in the rematch on SmackDown a couple of weeks later. And he said, you guys dedicated that match to me. He mentioned this many times, and now we know why. Because I'm thinking, why would he bring this up as much as he did? He said, you dedicated a loss to me, and I'm not even in a tag team. And he mentioned how there's other tag teams in the Samoan NOIE family dynasty, and he didn't dedicate it to them, blah, 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 just disrespectful. And then he went on to announce, because I'm thinking while watching this segment, hopefully his next challenger emerges and we find out who Roman will face on his 1,000th day as the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion at Night of Champions. Because that is literally, to the day, his 1,000th day as the champion, as Universal Champion specifically. Now, I thought that was just a coincidence, and it obviously was, that they did the show on that day. I'm thinking, oh, great, they're doing the show on that day as opposed, like, why not wait until June? We have no pay-per-views in June. I know they have there's Double or Nothing this weekend, or that same weekend. Do you really need to run a show that same weekend? The answer is no. They're not even competing against each other. The NXT show is, which makes absolutely no sense on NXT's end, because AEW has done that weekend every year for the last 4 years now. But anyway, with Roman Reigns, he will not defend the championship on that show on that weekend. Instead, he will compete for the tag team titles for the first time in, 4 or 5 years? I think him and Rollins, if I'm not mistaken, after Rollins lost the tag titles with Jason Jordan, I don't know why I remember this, but after he lost the tag titles with Jason Jordan, he then went back for the tag titles against The Bar, I think, by facing them again with Roman Reigns as his partner, and I think they may have won by DQ. I don't think Roman has challenged for the tag titles since then. He has been a former tag team champion, obviously, with only with Rollins, I think. Only him and Rollins were tag team champions once back in 2013, 10 fucking years ago, which is crazy. But actually, they beat the Usos to retain the titles of that Money in the Bank show back in 2013. Fun fact. And now he's in the same group as them. But yeah, so that's what Roman is doing at the next pay-per-view. To be completely honest with you, I've seen mixed thoughts on this from various people. I do not like this idea at all. Is it predictable? No. And anyone saying that Roman will not walk out, he won't walk out with 4 titles. Yes, he fucking could. Yes, he absolutely could, considering how protected Roman Reigns has been. The man has not been pinned. I also would not have him be pinned in this match. I saw some people say that, maybe this is where Roman finally loses. That would be insanely dumb. For Roman's first loss, not even a singles loss, I understand that, but they have mentioned how he's not been pinned. He has not been pinned in how long? What, 3 years now? 3.5 years since December of 2019? He has not been pinned in that long. Why would you have his first loss come in a tag team match? What, so Zayn and Owens can get one over Reigns? They don't need to. They're already the tag team champions. They're not winning gold. They already have the gold. Solo getting pinned is fine with me. Solo has already lost to Cody Rhodes, so I kind of hope Solo loses. With interference from the Usos, maybe they inadvertently interfere, or they cost them the belts on purpose. I mean, Roman and Solo versus the Usos at like Money in the Bank would be pretty fucking sexy. I mean, also going back to Money in the Bank 10 years ago on the pre-show, Reigns and Rollins versus the Usos was an amazing match. This could be similar. Just get all the Samoans in one match and just kind of have them duke it out. I just don't like this, specifically because if they did this on any other show, I think I'd be okay with it. It's just the fact for me that it's literally the exact 1000th day of Roman Reigns as champion. And you don't even have him defend the titles that he will have not defended since WrestleMania? That makes no fucking sense. By the time he finally defends those championships, unless he competes on Raw or SmackDown, or on SmackDown specifically because he's on SmackDown now, and that's possible, but unless that happens, and I'm not expecting it because the guy barely competes on TV, then he will have gone 3 months without a championship defense. He did not defend this month in May, and he's not defending in June, and Money in the Bank is the first weekend of April, or July. WrestleMania, rather, was the first weekend of April. That's 3 months. Now, I was going to say he went 3 months without defending it a couple of months ago, because I remember I'm like, he beat Drew at Clash of the Castle, and then he didn't defend again until Kevin Owens right at Royal Rumble. No, that's not true, actually. I just remember he actually faced and beat Logan Paul at Crown Jewel in November. So he only went 2 months without defending it. He was on TV quite a bit in October. He was on TV a lot in November for Survivor Series. He was on TV quite a bit in December. And then he defended the championship at the Royal Rumble. That was close to 3 months. It was almost 3 months, but it wasn't. This will be exactly 3 months. That is inexcusable. And it also hammers home the point to me personally. For all the people I had complaining, Cody Rhodes didn't need to win. Yes, he did. He did need to win, and he should have won. It hasn't hurt Cody to lose, but it has absolutely hurt the championship picture in the sense where if Cody Rhodes was the champion right now, you could still be doing every little single thing they're already doing except with Cody Rhodes as champion. Cody Rhodes being champion would make the Brock Lesnar feud make sense. Currently, it makes no fucking sense. Yeah, from a booking standpoint, it's designed to keep Cody busy. Cool. And give him more wins. Okay. But from a storyline standpoint, they haven't even bothered to explain. I mean, there's a lot of goofy explanations you can give. They haven't even bothered to explain what that reason is. That's just so fucking lazy. But it would make sense if Cody Rhodes was champion and you had Brock go for the belt, and Roman went after the tag titles. I mean, at least that would make sense, right? It's stupid. It's dumb. Cody Rhodes should be champion. He's not. I know what's done is done, but it just kind of further hammers home how right we all were that Cody Rhodes should have won. And there's a lot of people that disagree with that. Give me one valid reason why Roman should not defend the titles on the 1000th day of his championship run in Saudi Arabia. And then don't say, because I saw some other people say this too on social media. Well, it would have been obvious. It would have been obvious. Almost every fucking person that Roman has beat for the last 2 years has been obvious. You're just not going to have him defend the championship until he's going to face an actual threat? No, you actually build up people to feel like a threat. Bobby would not be as much of a threat as Cody Rhodes was. AJ Styles would not be as much of a threat as Cody Rhodes was. But you make these people look like threats. That's the fucking point. Or just do the match. It's not like he's facing Karrion Kross or like Akira Tozawa or something. AJ and Bobby are popular enough where if they went in there at Crown Jewel, and there's a reason for why they would do those matches. AJ's never beaten Roman Reigns before. Bobby was the last person to beat Roman Reigns clean 5 years ago. There's reasons for both matches. And you can also do the OC and the Bloodline, for as appealing as that might be, I don't know. Bobby versus Roman makes sense. I mean, they'll probably do one of those matches at Money in the Bank, but you could do both. You could do AJ at Crown Jewel. I know you would have to rush the rivalry, but again, if you're going to do the tag team shit, then you should have just had him drop it at fucking WrestleMania. If you're not going to have Roman defend until SummerSlam, that's just stupid. It's just dumb. It makes no sense. He'll probably defend at Money in the Bank. He's advertised for that show. If it wins the tag titles, he might have to defend the tag titles. It's stupid. And honestly, the worst part of this to me is that Zayn and Owens are still involved with the fucking Bloodline. Still! And listen, I'm not going to say it's been a shit storyline along. It was the best storyline WWE was producing week after week for 6 months. Zayn was involved with them for over a fucking year. They had the Bloodline win a Backlash. I didn't like the outcome, whatever. But that was it. They're still continuing this. Why? It just doesn't make sense. Owens and Zayn have said multiple times on various platforms, whether it be Raw Talk or SmackDown Lowdown, whatever, they have nothing more to say about these guys. They've beaten them. They've lost. What more is there to say? The answer is nothing. There's nothing more to say. They're having a face-off next week. Zayn and Owens and Reigns and Solo. What the fuck more can be said? They've been dragging this feud out for 6 to 7 months. And most of it was great, but it peaked at Mania. The follow-up after Mania with Owens and Zayn and Riddle versus the Bloodline, I honestly didn't even mind that. I thought it made sense. People shitting on that. I mean, I get it, but I mean, I didn't really mind it. This is where I draw the line. I just don't give a fuck about Sammy being back in the ring with... I mean, what do they have to gain out of it? The answer is nothing. And again, what you're going to say, I'm honestly even surprised they're working Saudi Arabia. That's one thing. I mean, you're going to have an added champion show. I mean, my whole thing was, they're going to have an added champion show wherever a championship is defended except the world title because Roman's not there. Except he is there, but he's going for the tag titles. It's stupid, man. The whole thing is it's just fucking dumb. I don't like it. I could see the positives in a way. If it was almost any other pay-per-view, I would almost understand, aside from Mania, obviously. But it's his 1,000th day as champion. Why wouldn't they tell the story that whoever beats Roman on that show could break if he may not exceed 1,000 days? I mean, come on, man. This is just logic. It just makes sense. It's just stupid. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez successfully defending the women's tag team titles against Damage CTRL's Bayley and Dakota Kai. A good match here, more turmoil within the ranks of Damage CTRL. Io Sky came out or was already there, whatever. Attempted to interfere. I thought Dakota Kai got actually hurt, but I don't think she was. I think she was just selling. She did a good job of selling it, too. It looked like she got hurt because it took her a while to do anything. But Io Sky getting involved, using the championship, getting caught by Liv, and then Liv rolled up Bayley and retained the title. So Bayley was visibly frustrated. Io Sky was kind of downtrodden, whatever, based on her reaction. So more attention teased within the ranks of Damage CTRL. They should absolutely have Io break off on her own very soon. It's time to move on from this loser faction. And I love all three women. I think they're fantastic, but the group itself has been terrible. So they just have to move on. Bianca Belair had her grand championship celebration for becoming the longest reigning women's champion in the modern era. I guess not including NXT or NXT UK, because fuck those shows, I guess. It's their own history. But anyway, and also Jade Cargill. I mean, if we're talking, I guess in WWE history, Jade Cargill's been the women's champion in AEW for a bit longer than Bianca, but again, we're not acknowledging that, I guess. And maybe other companies I'm not thinking of, but Asuka came out here to confront Bianca, kind of crashed the ceremony before it could even get going. And I should note they were in Knoxville. So Bianca got a great reaction. Asuka turned heel. We heard about this a day or two in advance, that Asuka might be turning heel, and per PW Insider, that's exactly what happened. So she attacks Bianca, blows the mist in her face, and that was it. And I guess this was to mark Asuka's heel turn. Now, this is what I don't really understand. One, if this makes Asuka more interesting, then fine. If they give her more character development, then okay. If it sees the end of her dancing like a fucking idiot every time she's out there, then amazing. My problem with this is that you could have still done the Kana Asuka character with her as a babyface and turned Bianca. I was kind of hoping that's what we would get at Mania. I was at WrestleMania. I was not at Backlash, but I could hear the reaction. Bianca got audible boos on both shows in front of their biggest and hottest crowds in the last couple of months, and Bianca was not in Montreal for Elimination Chamber, so I can't speak to that show. But Bianca was booed instead of Io or Asuka. Bianca was booed. I'm not saying they need to turn her heel. I just think it would make a lot of sense because, first of all, we have not seen her as a heel in a good 4 to 5 years. Second of all, she's getting stale as a babyface. No real development. It's not that she's not over. I mean, not everyone's booing her. It's not overwhelming. I just think it would make the most sense. If you need a new heel for that division, then you turn her heel. The problem is that Charlotte will probably be the top heel on that brand when she comes back, and they don't want to turn Bianca because they want to do Bianca and Charlotte. Charlotte, as a babyface, is just fucking terrible. So that's probably just why they're not doing that. So they turn Asuka instead. It got a good reaction on this show because, again, they were in Bianca's hometown. That made sense. In every other city, I'm not sure. Will they boo Asuka over Bianca? I'm not sold yet. I'm fine with them doing the feud, honestly, because they don't have a lot of women that could step up to Bianca right now. And I thought they had a really good match at Mania, so I'm fine with that. But I just don't know why you wouldn't have done this at WrestleMania Backlash. Why they waited until now to do it and not at Backlash when you typically have Mania rematches is just weird to me. But we'll see where they go with it. So, I don't know. The main event, AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley in the semifinals of the World Heavyweight Championship tournament to crown an inaugural champion at Crown Jewel. Another really good match from these two. I think the only other singles match they've had was that match on Raw for the United States Championship last summer. I remember it because they had the match in D.C. I'm thinking, oh, it's cool. They're making a big deal about a U.S. title match in D.C. In Washington, D.C., that is, obviously. And they had a really good match, and Bobby went clean. This was also a very good match. AJ got his win back here. He beat Bobby Lashley and is headed to Crown Jewel for the World Heavyweight Championship. So now we have AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. I feel like this makes it more predictable. And I love AJ being back in the world title picture. It's long overdue. Honestly, I feel like Edge would have been less predictable. Because we spoke about this on Wrestle Rant Radio. At least if Edge won the championship, first of all, the story is there. Second of all, if he won the title, he can go to Raw, and then you could switch someone from Raw to SmackDown. I mean, they haven't established that yet. I don't know why. Why the fuck would AJ be the World Heavyweight Champion on SmackDown? They should just probably mention that to make it clear. I just don't see all of the OC going to Raw. I think it'd be dumb to break AJ over to Raw and leave the OC on SmackDown. The whole reason why Gallows and Anderson were not on the show for 4 months was because they were waiting for AJ. You're going to break them up again? That would be dumb. Do you bring the whole faction over to Raw? I mean, maybe. It doesn't really make much of a difference, but it would be kind of weird if they brought all of the OC over to Raw for exchange. I guess maybe Cody Rhodes is as valuable on his own as the OC are together, I guess. Just nitpicking here. I think it's kind of more obvious now that Rollins is winning, but if AJ pulled out a surprise win, hey, no complaints out of me. AJ and Rollins, they've had a handful of matches over the years. It was 4 years almost to the day since their first one-on-one match in WWE. I was there, Money in the Bank, Hartford, excellent match. They always have great matches. This should be no exception. And that was SmackDown in a nutshell for May 12th. Yeah, May 12th? May 12th, 2013 or 2023. What the fuck am I saying? I thought this was a great show. Despite my criticisms over the Bloodline stuff and the Asuka heel turn, which was kind of weird, this was a much more entertaining episode than Raw on Monday. Concise, quick, everything mattered, no filler, championship match, NXT debuts, fresh faces, storyline advancements, Crown Jewel main event announced. Really good stuff here, setting up stuff for next week. Honestly, no real complaints. I wasn't a big fan of, again, the Bloodline stuff and where it's headed, but that's just an overall issue that WWE has right now where the storyline kind of peaked going into WrestleMania or at WrestleMania itself, and it doesn't really seem like they have a battle plan in place to kind of figure out where they go from here. Beyond that, I thought SmackDown was really good. This might have been their best show, and SmackDown's been pretty good overall for a little while now, but this might end up being their best show for a bit because I don't know if it's going to get as eventful as it was on Friday for this show. I thought this was a really strong show. Thank you guys for checking on my audio review of SmackDown for this week. As always, for May 12th, 2023, I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.